Welcome to the Save Childhood podcast with Jennifer McCarville. Because childhood has changed, but children have not.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Save Childhood podcast.
I'm Jennifer McCarville.
And I'm Nicole Dugan. And today we have a hot topic. I think it's something that's not talked about enough in where the state of education is today and the path that it's on.
Yes.
And we believe it should be. And so we wanted to define it, talk about it, and
make an argument for the multi-age classroom.
Yes.
Yes, the multi-age classroom. That's our topic for today. And we know it's important at our school, Marvelously Made. We do have multi-age classrooms. And because we know they're important, because we know they're beneficial, because community is important for so many reasons. And we're going to kind of break some of that down.
Yeah. And so what is a multi-age classroom? Let's start there. The simple definition.
Well, it's not just a split grade class.
Okay.
You know, but it is it's intentionally designed to have multiple ages together so that they benefit from learning as a group.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Is
that
good?
So we have in our school, as an example, we have the preschool is ages 3 through 5 or 6.
True.
All together.
And I think one of the most important things to remember, and as we're looking, as education is changing, and in America, education is a train wreck. I mean, you know, teachers are amazing. We're always going to give that caveat. But, and it's true, teachers are incredible. And, you know, God bless the teachers who are out there in the trenches of inappropriate educational settings day in and day out, pouring into the children. But we have got to start changing what's happening to children, and we're seeing that with more people passing some voucher type systems and more charter schools picking up and, you know, being offered, etc. This is a model we need to be looking at.
Okay.
And it's not a new concept. You know, originally from the beginning of time, families had many, many children, and they were all learning together. Right? And then when schools started, when we started putting children into schools, taking them out of their families, they went into the one-room schoolhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And hugely successful, hugely beneficial. But of course, if we want children in a factory model of learning, we need to put them all in these little boxes based on their age and get them to do the exact same thing as they are in those grades.
Right.
And so it's a very organic way, an authentic way for children to learn.
Right.
So yes, you were talking about how the farmhouse, our preschool, is 3, 4, 5, and sometimes 6-year-olds, because our school is based on development, and as schools should be.
Right.
Why wouldn't they be?
And sometimes they need the gift of an extra year, or the gift of time, which is another podcast episode you should look for and watch.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can meet the diverse learners that way too. There are some children that that's where they are developmentally. And that's the best place for them to be, where they are developmentally.
Right.
So yes, it's mostly 3, 4, and some 5-year-olds, but we might have a 6-year-old in there depending on what their needs are and who they are. And then now our kindergarten class, you'll have 5 and 6-year-olds, sometimes a 7-year-old, sometimes, you know, but that one is a less of an age span, mostly because the kindergarten year is, I often say, like that 5 to 6-year-old, that group right there spans about 3 years in the ways that they do things and where they are on learning in different learning areas and content areas and stages of development and different social, emotional, all the things, motor skills.
Yes.
So
it's a wide span.
Such a wide span.
It is almost like a multi-age setting.
That's what it really is. And we will have, you know, 5, 6, sometimes 7-year-olds in there as well.
Yeah.
And then
we have the primary group, which is 1st through 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm. And then those children do have little cluster times where they each have their classroom teacher that leads their cluster, which we call them by tree names rather than grades, because we don't want that societal pressure of 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. What does that mean? You know? And so we have the oaks and the maples and the willows, and the children get to be where they need to be. And then they do have large groups with their assigned classroom teacher who does conferencing with their parents, but they also have work block all together where they're intermingled.
And we go to the outdoor classroom all together where they're free to, try new things with anyone, regardless of age.
And do they?
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's
They're
awesome.
mixing it up. And then now we have our 4th through 8th grade homeschool hybrid program, the Collective, and those children are in 4th through 8th grade.
Yeah.
And they're mixing it up too. And
Right.
they do get pulled out for small groups, gathering times, and for all other small projects. That's a lot of times based on age and but definitely development always trumps age.
Yeah.
So.
And so let's talk about the benefits. Why did you choose to have our school follow this model or philosophy?
So I think that the number one reason is because it's the best case scenario for children. You can't just say because a child is a certain chronological age, they're doing certain things, and we all learn from each other. Real life, there's no other place in the world that we put people in a room to function with only people that were born in the same year they were. It is not reality. And we can learn from everyone. And it allows children to be where they are developmentally because there are so many different places that they are. There's not a pressure to perform at a certain level. And, you can learn from younger children. It's not always that you're learning from the older children.
Right.
Older children can learn from younger children. And one of the main reasons, in addition to those, is that building community is incredibly important for healthy people. In order to, when we say we look at the whole child for education, and we have to be, some people believe that, all the discipline happens at home, but yet the children are away from their parents from the time they are very young and for 12 and 14-hour days. So since that is the reality of our system, we can't expect children not to learn all the lessons of behavior, etc., outside of the classroom anymore.
Right.
And, I'm all for changing that. But we know that looking at the whole child means you're looking at more than just the academics. You're looking at everything they need. And we're looking at how do you build strong people? How do you build kind people who care about the earth, who take care of each other? And the way to do that is to build community. And building community, real community, authentic communities where you rely on each other and you go through hard things together and you go through happy things together and you build things together and you all of that, and you accept the differences of the people that you're with and you celebrate their uniquenesses and their strengths and their gifts. You can do that in a multi-age class. And we have to know there's something more important than us. And that's becoming less and less common. We have to know that what we do affects a greater good. We have to know that we need each other. And building a strong community builds strong people. In the soul work, in the heart, which is the most important work anybody's going to do when you're raising children, is that soul work. So that community approach of multi-age is the best answer.
Yeah, I think it's so cool when you watch it happen and unfold in person in real life, that we know that they learn best from teaching and learning with each other, right? As opposed to sitting down for a teacher or an adult to feed them information. There will be a lot of times where a child will come up to me and say, how do you do X, Y, and Z? And I will say, oh, Johnny, he's an expert at that. Let's go ask him. He'll know. He can teach us. And the learning connection that happens with those two children is way more authentic and beneficial than sitting down with me so I can tell you what I know.
Right, giving them the answer. Right, helping them find someone who can walk alongside them and work with them and connect with them. And then they're also learning how to engage with other personalities and other people.
Right.
They're learning how to talk to a variety of different people. I really believe that the social competencies of children who are in multi-age settings are really strong. Because of that, you're talking to people at different stages of everything, and they're learning to, interact with a wide variety of people and help seek the answers out for themselves from other places besides just the tallest or oldest person in the room.
Right.
So.
And so some parents might worry, oh, if my oldest child is in this multi-age classroom, won't they be held back by having younger kids around him or her?
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say to that?
No, and actually there's a lot of research and evidence that shows otherwise. They actually do really, really well being the older or the younger, which I have a feeling we're going to talk about too. But when they're the oldest, they get to be a leader. They develop empathy for, we are naturally wired to take care of things that need help.
Mm-hmm.
And so as long as we're nurturing that in children, that's going to shine. And they take those opportunities, and we see it all the time. Especially when you see a larger age span. We have groups of children that stay after school, and sometimes we'll have children from the preschool through the collective that are together, definitely through the third grade, and they're together, and you see those older children take on leadership roles and nurturing roles and gently and kindly guide others. And we all know that when you really understand something, you teach it. So as they're sharing with the younger children how to do certain things, they're cementing that knowledge and those skills even deeper for
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
Right.
And there's a wisdom that grows from that you can't replicate. So being older has some huge benefits for them. Their skills, their academics, they're cementing their learning, and their hearts, which is always going to be something that you hear me talk about, because there's nothing more important. It doesn't matter what information our children have. If we are not raising them with kind hearts and addressing the soul issues, we're failing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about on the flip side, what about the youngest ones in those age groups? Like, oh, they're going to be entering in all these older children, or...
I know we do, that's a big question, right? But they're so much older. They are, and they're going to be able, when you have an environment that nurtures the different levels of learning, no one's gonna struggle because of that, and other people aren't, going to be at a huge more advantage. They're all at an advantage, I guess, is what I'm saying. They're all at an advantage in these situations. And then people think, oh, well, but if I have my older ones there, they're going to be behind. And the question we have to always ask ourselves is, behind what? What are they behind? And that is just ludicrous. And who got to decide what you're behind? Who got to decide that thing that you're behind? So with the older ones, they're not going to be behind, because they're made to learn, and they're in an environment that encourages them to learn, and they challenge themselves. So with the younger ones, they actually are such a great benefit for them, because they have these older peer and role models that are just built in to they observe. That's a lot of how we learn. You can tell children all the things, but they watch you, and that's how they're going to learn best. So they're watching these older children and learning from them, from the way they behave, and they're able to be exposed to different things at different levels that interest them.
Right. And things they're ready for. Everyone's ready for something different because they're at their own pace.
They're able to move at their own pace, and that's so important. And it gives them that developmental continuum that is in the sweet spot for them.
Mm-hmm.
So children, they're not going to take on more than they're ready for in natural learning environments. But having people at different stages of learning is a huge benefit to the young ones.
Yeah, for sure. So, what's our advice for people that are teaching or sending their child to a classroom that isn't multi-age?
Isn't multi-age? Well, I think that one thing that we need, one thing that I'm reminding people of a lot is that parents are going to change education. So understanding and doing more research, if you need more information about this concept of multi-age classrooms, seeking it out, learning more about the value in it, and advocating for it, mentioning it when you can, going to a board meeting, choosing schools where that is the setup, because you see the huge benefit, not only definitely academically, but socially, emotionally, in community, and the importance of community. If those are things that you value. But if you're in an environment where they are boxed into their chronological ages, there's a lot to be said for recognizing that as a multi-age group almost, because when you think about it, you have children that turned 7 in September, right? And so they're turning 8 right before school or right after school starts, and you've had children that are turning 7 right before school starts. So you've got at least a year age span in one classroom, and in these isolated grades where they're in there by chronological age. So I think seeing it as a multi-age, and really you would see it as a multi-developmental environment, and treating them like that, because they are in different places, and you're always going to have, you know, children that are stronger in things and children that are struggling with things, but they all have things they're good at. And like you mentioned, when you really embrace this multi-age, multi-developmental approach, you can say, oh, that's a really great question about sharks. I'm not really sure, but you know what? You should go ask Jack, because he knows a lot about sharks. And it's not that we don't have the answers sometimes, or that, you know, I might not have the answers about sharks, but it's not that we don't have some of those answers. It's that we want to teach the children to rely on their community, to recognize that they all have strengths, and that there are things that they can feel good about contributing.
Right.
So I think you can advocate for it. You can embrace it when you find a school that offers that. You know, one of the big ways education will change is by the choices we are making for our children. And also recognizing if you're teaching in a situation like that is based on the chronological age, which the vast majority of everything is, we realize that. Looking at it as a developmental spectrum much more intentionally, and maybe creating it to have this multi-age feel, so that the children can be at those different stages and really soar.
Yeah.
And, you know, unfortunately, I don't think there's a whole lot more we can do, but talking about it and, you know, encouraging it, and resting in the fact that there's so much proof that it is beneficial. You know?
Yeah, talk to us about cooperation over competition.
Oh, well, that's definitely what a multi-age classroom fosters, right? When you're cultivating that stronger sense of community, you are cultivating cooperation over competition. There's no need to compete. Now, healthy competition, fun competition, those are great things, and we need to do that, and we all need to learn how to lose. But that's a good episode for another podcast.
Yeah.
Learning to lose, learning to struggle, but that's really important as well. We're not really talking about that, but what we've done so much is pit the children against one another. You know, oh, someone made a perfect grade on this test. Oh, it's so-and-so. Oh, look how well that one did at this. Oh, look how great you are. You're just constantly making them compete. And the children who don't soar, thrive in those things, just become more and more disengaged. And so multi-age classrooms definitely encourage cooperation. It's such a beautiful thing, you know? And there's just been a lot of proof that they do better in these multi-age classrooms versus the other. And it mimics in a lot of ways the natural family unit, you know, because families have children of multiple ages. You know, and nobody is supposed to have 22 5-year-olds at the same time in the same space. It's so not natural. And this is also a reason that it's breaking children. We have them in these completely unnatural environments for the vast majority in all of their childhoods, you know, in a huge portion of their lives.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why they're breaking.
Yeah, and if you haven't listened to our episode about the dishonesty of academics in America, that's where we talk a lot about what schools used to look like right after it was only learning in the family environment. And so tune into that one, because that will give you a lot of the background of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and just really the highlight reel of that whole situation, right? So, yeah I think, again, it is always going to go back to honoring the development and trusting the original design, which was the family. And, you know, learning in community is important and so beneficial, you know, and so the reasons that it matters are much greater than everyone can learn geometry at the same time.
Yes.
I mean, that's just the bottom line. So that you learn best no matter who you are, how old you are, and in the company of people who are both more competent and less competent than we are, right?
Right.
So those mixed age groups are the way to go. Have we convinced you?
Have we?
Have we? I don't know, but at least hopefully we've sparked some interest. And if you can't understand from what we've been able to share the value of the mixed age classroom and how absolutely organic and beautiful it is and can be, hopefully we've at least sparked some interest, and you'll look into it as you're considering options for your child's education.
Yes, and if you're an educator that would like to see it in action, we're having a conference at our school in November, the Safe Childhood Conference, right?
That was a nice segue, really right there.
Yeah,
we sure are.
And you can come and check it out.
Yeah, you can see it happening. That's great. So yeah, it's November 14th and 15th, I believe, right in the middle of November there, right here at Marvelously Made. So you get to spend time in the classrooms and see it firsthand. You're right. It's a beautiful thing.
Head over to safechildhood.org to learn more details about that and how you can join us.
Yeah, and check out the 14 tenets of saving childhood. And that's at safechildhood.org. And then we're also on Facebook and Instagram,
TikTok, YouTube. Pretty much everywhere.
Yes,
everywhere we
are.
can be. So join us, comment, like, share.
That sharing and liking is really important, huh?
Yeah, that's what they say. Like and share so we can get the algorithm going.
Yeah.
Help us out.
Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. To learn more and join the movement, go to savechildhood.org.